Quite the motley crew of characters. One of these, though, is not like the other, and that is the Druchii Anointed right here in the middle, noticeably tiny in comparison to these hulking Chaos characters. Also has tiny elven weapon strength. Anyway, yeah, today we're going to be talking about the Druchii Anointed and also the Exalted Hero of Slaanesh a little bit. The Tactical Lich, once again, is my opponent. I'm playing the Noble Empire. But let's get to it quickly and talk about these characters here. So the Druchii Anointed is a new character that is in the DLC. Generic character, I should say. He's a Dark Elf on Slaanesh's roster. Yes, Marathi also does get these guys in campaign. He's got a Cold One mount, also has a Demonic Steed mount, which I think probably makes him a lot better. But plus 30 bonus versus infantry on 350 weapon strength. I say he has tiny elven weapon strength because, I mean, you compare him to the Chad Exalted Hero who has a full 450. He also has poison damage on this mount, which I didn't realize. Pretty cool. 110 armor, missile block chance. Druchii Anointed also has 110 armor, but 400 less HP. Again, weakling elf. He gets a version of Murderous Mastery that activates if he himself gets more than 40 kills, which we'll see if he's going to be able to do that here. He also gets some bound spells. We see just Hysterical Frenzy with some extra intensity. I'm not sure where that's coming from, to be honest. But, yeah, nice big Hysterical Frenzy, plus 46 melee attack, 29 damage, percent damage, that is. And then it's Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Slaanesh, and he's got plenty of Forsaken as well. Looks like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, Forsaken, some Hellstriders here, one Fury up in the sky, a couple of Marauder Horsemen, and a single Champion of Slaanesh hiding here in the woods. For myself, I'm going to try and banish evil with Volkmar the Grim. We've got a landship as well, and Ulrika, who I have gained respect for over time. I think she's probably a pretty underrated component, especially for the Empire. Very, very strong character, you know, has the Hunger, has Lore of Shadows, has a ranged attack, very good melee stats overall, and of course Skalyandir's Fall for blinded contact effect, 4 Pistoliers, 2 Empire Knights, a Mortar Wagon, and a bunch of Spears. And we'll get things rolling as I'm going to do some early skirmishing into these Marauder Horsemen. Send the landship forward, which is obviously going to prove to be a mistake because all these scary Slaanesh characters can engage me in melee. And something can rampage as well. What does he have? We have Pavane. Yes, maybe we'll see a little Pavane being used. And indeed, Tactical Lich, even though the damage scaling isn't efficient against single entities, he's going to try and use Pavane here to rampage me, and is able to get enough damage to actually accomplish it, so the landship unable to pull away there. Empire Knights, though, quick charge into the Forsaken on the far side, then we're going to try and pull away here, and kind of even out this melee engagement, take things a little bit disjointed, and not just take like a full heads-up engagement. Volkmar also charges in there. Ulrika standing at a respectable distance as the Hellstriders flank. War Wagons going to try and defend with spears, but infantry spears can only really do too much. Right when I think I'm about to break through, yeah, I get charged, and the Slaanesh champions, having covered themselves in patented unknown sticky substance, very Slaanesh of them, managed to stick to my landship and prevent it from escaping, at least momentarily. And even then, with their fast speed, they're able to keep up. So I actually didn't see them at first because they're so small. I was like, why isn't my landship moving? And then, yeah, I realized that they was stuck to a bunch of champions. But anyway, my micro is also going to be slipping a little bit as I try and kite and fight with the Empire Knights. Cycle charge them in and out of these Forsaken in pursuit. But things are not looking particularly good. Ulrika going to come in here, though, and fight next to the destroyed landship. Somehow a Slavic vampire is significantly less pale than that elf over there. But yeah, she's going to be fighting the champs of Slaanesh side by side with Volkmar's wagon, getting some nice buffs. Little Soulfire here as well. Probably should have waited slightly on that. Didn't get the best contact on the Furies like I was hoping for. But the single entities so far of Slaanesh have been focused on my big scary chariots. The landship having been already dispatched, and now Volkmar also having some issues. We're going to open up a little bit of shades here to deal with that unit of Furies just to get them off the field. And then the rest of the battle here, it's just a bunch of Pistoliers and Empire Knights kiting Forsaken for the most part. Not missing out too much there. Hellstriders also murdering my War Wagon mortars. Be expected. We'll keep it right here close because this is where the battle's going to be decided with these characters. Ulrika fighting some of the champs here. I'm not sure what their attack order is on exactly, but them not counting his infantry is going to be working against her here because she does have a little bit of an anti-infantry bonus. But yeah, that disarm passive, the glamour of Slaanesh, both stacking debuffs, debuffing her stats a little bit here. Nothing absolutely insane, but the Volkmar also struggling to stay alive. Going to try and screen through some of these spears, but the mass of these Slaanesh characters, even just on their horses, they're able to somewhat path through. Does the Druki Anointed actually have better mass on his cold one? Okay, so he's at 1500. The Exalted Hero is also at 1500. Okay, so despite the size difference, the mass is actually exactly the same. And the Druki Anointed may be getting a little bit of a benefit from being smaller here as he duels Ulrika once more. But all this fighting against single entities does mean that he's only 7 kills on his way to getting that murderous mastery, so we'll see if he's able to accomplish that. But the champions of Slaanesh getting bogged down in Empire Spears, being subjected to that anti-large bonus, definitely very painful there, but as the other 2 single entities pursue, we're going to get a clean 1v1 with Ulrika versus the Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh, which I gotta say, I love their, I just, in general, love the Slaanesh armor outfits. They're like big crests and everything else. They look very, very cool. But yeah, the Sorcerer Lord gonna try and go after Volkmar, Pavane once more, try and prevent him from healing, because right now he is definitely getting some regeneration from that Jade Griffin. But then 2v1, all of a sudden things turn against him pretty badly. Ulrika is able to use that blinded contact effect, debuff his melee defense down to just 18, along with that exhausted contributing. And yeah, he's going to get hit pretty hard here by Ulrika, though he does lead Volkmar back to his other 2 heroes, and Volkmar goes down. So 2 big, expensive single entities for me have been dealt with. Although the rest of the army, taking a look at things here, this Empire Knight trying to charge in, finish off those champions of Slaanesh. Pistolier is also kind of doing their thing, running around, getting killed, being a distraction. We've mostly neutralized each other's armies. He does still have some Forsaken kind of hanging around, but I also have some Winds of Magic, and definitely wishing I had brought Enfeebling Foe, but at the very least we've got Melkos, Mystifying Miasma, and Pit of Shades to deal with whatever multi-model units are left. The trick here is that I've got to kill all 3 of these single entities with Ulrika, but yeah, the Druki Anointed just trying to path through the Empire Spears here, him and the Exalted Hero, which, I gotta say, amazing look on the Exalted Hero of Slaanesh, very unique. They're both having some issues trying to pull out. That's probably a very Slaanesh issue, but let's see what they can do. Empire Knight's Pistolier is going to continue to pursue. Ulrika there gets screened on some Forsaken as the Chaos Sorcerer Lord runs for the hills. Ulrika is gonna deal with those Forsaken and then try and pull away here. But it will be a little bit tricky for me to try and survive this. Basically just have to try and defeat Tactical Lich's characters in detail. So we'll fast forward a little bit. Cue the Benny Hill music. And here we go. Empire Knights, nice charge into those Forsaken. I'm going to take this opportunity again to try and get after one of these single entities here. The Druki Anointed. Very cool, I have to say, from a design perspective, at least a visual design perspective. The actual role of this hero, I'm not sure what it really does for Slaanesh, or if it's really going to be used in multiplayer at all. Just the low weapon strength is definitely pretty painful, and especially like now, I guess he doesn't quite have wounds yet, but once that wounds kicks in and the damage goes down even more, definitely quite tough, but little acquiescence, little Scaliender's Fall, trying to even things out on both sides, get that blinded contact effect on them, but I definitely don't want to take a 2v1, so some timely spears will arrive, and once again going to screen through as best I can, or take a 1v1, you know, if the Exalted Hero wants to try and pull up and around there. He does, actually. Ulrika getting hit a couple more times. Let's back away from that engagement, see if she can get away. I've also got a couple of spears over on the objective. This is Conquest after all. Maybe, just maybe, it'll end up actually going to a Conquest ticket victory, but we'll see. Champions of Slaanesh also hanging around, so at this point, I'm hoping that Ulrika can just fight on top of something that can give her a little bit of hunger healing. Something relatively weak. Once again, these two Slaanesh characters trying their best to pull through the Empire Sphere. Is going to be taking a little bit of damage in the process. But the rest, a little Melkos mystifying miasma there on those Forsaken. She charges in once more. Empire Spears bracing the line. Getting ready to hold back. Ooh, a few of them run out very bravely and immediately get clubbed by Forsaken. But we've got some characters incoming. Even the Slaanesh Sorcerer Lord came back from routing, so Ulrika is going to use her bow now to best effect. Try and get some Parthian shots on these guys as she pulls away. And just kind of hold the objective. But, ooh, we're going to see a little Sweet Sorrow there, buffing the speed and the vigor. Wow, look at how fast he is on that horse mount. That is absolutely insane. Gal Sorcerer Lord just charging across the field. Going to get another Pavane on Ulrika. But fortunately, it doesn't instantly rampage her. She is able to get to the spears. And now I'm very confident that this is an engagement I want to take against this Exalted Hero. With the spear support, and not even that, spears with shield support, huh? Huh? Ulrika, that Rock of Inevitability being popped is going to debuff melee defense. It's an item the Exalted Hero has, which is definitely pretty nice. But it doesn't last too long. Acquiescence and Skalliander's Fall once again being used simultaneously to debuff both sides. But, yeah, the Exalted Hero takes a few hits there. Druki Anointed charges in, gets a hit, but Ulrika manages to defend as soon as that blinded effect goes up. And yeah, look at that, 280 weapon strength with wounds active. It's just, oh, it's painful. Anything under 300 weapon strength is just painful. Even between like 300 to 400 is just not ideal for a combat character. So a little bit of shades here is going to go off, hit those Forsaken as the Spearmen finally try and finish off these champions. Forsaken trying to make a little push here. They're being led by the, the Sorcerer Lord, who is taking shots. You can see that blinded contact effect popping up. Got hit by a couple of Ulrika's arrows, debuffing him, and that's going to be army losses, I think. Yeah, a little Melkos mystifying miasma on that last Forsaken, and Ulrika manages to clutch out a win with just an insane amount of gold value. 3,500 gold value on 18,000 damage dealt. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, we'll talk more about the Slaanesh characters in the post-game, but oh, okay. Exalted Hero's coming back for some more. Gonna take a couple arrows, and then we'll hit army losses. There we go. So a fun one. Super, super close at the end of the day, for sure. I mean, Tactical Lich did a great job of sniping my two big, expensive chariots. It does seem like Slaanesh just, I mean, even just through characters now has tools to deal with, like, large armored single entities in a way that they kind of didn't before. Even the champions of Slaanesh as well, even though they're anti-infantry, can also contribute in those fights. You know, they're large, they're surprisingly sticky, as we saw there. Can definitely deal some pretty serious damage. So overall, good value all the way across the board. Tactical Lich facing some healing single entities also kind of inflates some value. But at the end of the day, the Druki Anointed and the Exalted Hero of Slaanesh get basically the same value. So that's interesting to me, certainly, and something we'll investigate more in a little bit. But I think maybe they're somewhat interchangeable. Yeah, the Forsaken here, a couple of them get some pretty good value against my state troops. A couple of my state troops also get good value against some of the Slaanesh stuff. Pistoliers and Knights mostly just running around and being annoying. And then, yeah, Ulrika carrying the entire game on her back. So, nice, fun game for sure. But let's talk more about these two... Oop, not quest battle. Two combat characters for Slaanesh. So, you've got the Exalted Hero and you've got the Druki Anointed. Their base cost is probably going to be close to the same. Yeah, actually exactly the same. And for mount options, the Druki Anointed does pay 50 gold more for the Demonic Steed, but it does not modify their weapon strength at all. They only get 80 armor on it rather than the 110 of the Cold One. But you go up to 100 speed and an extra 13 melee defense, plus 600 HP for only 100 gold extra. I don't know if there's really a lot of reason to take the cold one, personally. I think Demonic Seed also gives you Devastating Flanker, so you get more benefit from that charge bonus, and you get an extra plus 10 charge as well. So, yeah, I mean, at 1200 gold, not too expensive for a pretty strong combat character. 1150 for the Exalted Hero, though, and comparing these two, that extra 100 weapon strength is going to go a long way. The Exalted Hero non-AP on the regular Demonic Steed does get armor piercing on his weapon strength, so arguably gets more from the upgrade, but also has poison damage, just base, on all of his mounts. That's nice. And in terms of abilities, the Druchii Anointed's going to be packing some bound spells. Soul Stealer is fine. It's going to give a tiny bit of self-healing and a little AoE damage. You know, it'll be good against like single and lower model count targets. It'll be okay. The Hysterical Frenzy is pretty nice, I must say. The one-time buff, it's pretty strong buff for a one-time buff. Only lasts 28 seconds. I would like to see maybe the duration of Hysterical Frenzy buffed up a little bit there. I didn't 100% catch what he casted it on, but certainly is a nice spell to have in your arsenal. And then Lash of Slaanesh for an extra 100 gold gives him a couple of little area of effect options. For 100 gold, though, I mean, I guess you could easily get 100 gold on 2 Lashes of Slaanesh just through sheer value, so that's nice. We did see the Glamour of Slaanesh there, so we can assume that the Exalted Hero at least had that. And then we also did see the Rocket of Inevitability get used, which is a pretty expensive item, but quite a nice debuff with melee defense speed and charge speed. Yeah, Banner of Unholy Victory also is only if he's winning, so not the best. You don't need leadership generally when you're already winning, so I would probably avoid that one. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to have these two characters kind of come in at the same time, fulfill somewhat similar roles, but overall, oh, does he not get Devastating Flanker? Interesting, that might be an oversight. But he does get the Disarm passive. Okay, so that's minus 5 melee attack, minus 25% weapon strength for Lords and Heroes only, and it's enabled if this guy is not routing. Okay. So interesting, kind of a passive character-only debuff. You can't unselect it, though. He just always has it, which is nice. Yeah, I don't have to pay for it. Definitely appreciate that. So it's interesting, for sure. I will say, for the Druchii Anointed, the Lash of Slaanesh is probably a good way to guarantee he's going to get this. I mean, obviously, in this battle, he was focused on fighting single entities a lot of the time, so we didn't get 40 kills to be able to pop this Murderous Mastery. But as this one also does not have a Vigor Refresh component, which the regular Murderous Mastery does. Yeah, so we see the difference there in those. This one's the Army ability version, right? The Vigor Refresh is a pretty big component of this. So the fact that it's not on the Druchii Anointed's version is a little bit of a letdown. Only 50% melee attack charge bonus. Yeah, I guess for 120 seconds is a pretty long buff. But it's not the most impactful buff, especially when you compare it to, yeah, I mean, this one, 25% melee attack, I guess, does it not give weapon strength? Hang on. No, it doesn't give weapon, neither gives weapon strength. A little bit of extra charge bonus as well, only 15% on that one. Yeah, so not as impactful of a buff, and without the Vigor Refresh, I don't know, maybe they could spruce that up. That'd be a nice way to make the Druchii Anointed a little bit more unique, but in terms of their actual values, yeah, 225 AP on this guy, 300 AP on the Exalted Hero on the Demonic Steed. So, I don't know. I think that Exalted Hero is probably just going to be that much more cost-effective because of his lower base price, because of the poison, and overall better stats, mostly. Better charge, better weapon strength. Also gets a missile block chance and 10 extra armor on the steed. So, yeah. Not the best comparison for the Druchii Anointed, but he's definitely a character that you can take. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.